Second, Martin Luther's influence. He removed these books
Martin Luther did not remove the deuterocanonical books from the Bible. He simply moved them. And there's a lot more history to this than a lot of people think. So first things first, Martin Luther was not the first person to think that there was something suspect about the deuterocanonical books. In fact, the reason that we can even call them the deuterocanonical books means that they had already been set aside in some fashion. Now we can go all the way back to Jerome, who is translating the Bible into Latin, the Latin Vulgate, and see that even he had some suspicions about these works. So already within the 5th century, when Jerome is writing the Vulgate or translating the Vulgate, he writes about some of his issues with the deuterocanonical books. First, he talks about how he can't find any Hebrew originals, and the reason for that is that they were never written in Hebrew, but Greek. Now, this actually leads to that second point. He talks about how the Jewish people had abandoned these books. Now, the reason that they had abandoned these books is because they were written in Greek. They were seen as Hellenistic, not as fully Jewish. So they separated themselves from those works. So, for centuries before Martin Luther even comes on the scene, the authority of these books had been questioned a bit. Now, again, Martin Luther does not remove these books. He simply moves them into kind of an intertestamental period within the Bible. So it goes in between the New Testament and the Old Testament. They're not seen as authority, but he simply doesn't remove them. Now, that wouldn't happen until much later. Now, when we actually look at the removal of the deuterocanonical books from the Bible, we have to realize that it wasn't one fell swoop. In fact, some Protestants continue to have those books within their Bible, even to this day. And in fact, a lot of people have added those books back into the Bible. So when I look at the NRSV, often it includes the Apocrypha or the deuterocanonical books. Now, we also have to realize that this is part of a larger process. Now, it's not just the Protestants who remove books from what could be the Bible. In fact, we see Catholics having done it as well. When we look at the Septuagint, we can see works within the Septuagint that are not within the deuterocanonical books because Catholics did not think that they actually deserved that same recognition that the deuterocanonical books did. And that's perfectly okay. The fact is, this was a very long process that was really thought through, and it's okay that people came to different conclusions. We just gotta accept that.